Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another video for the Prerunner 101 series. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about all the tools you need to build a Prerunner. I feel like it can be overwhelming watching ours or other people's videos and just seeing all the tooling that they're using and thinking that you have to drop a lot of money on tools, when in fact you can get by with very basic tooling to build one of these trucks. So in today's video, I want to walk through and show you all the things that Christian and I built this truck with. So you guys will be able to see how we've advanced over time and kind of get a tour of the garage and see everything that's in it. So I guess we'll just hop into it, brother.
Hell yeah.
Talk about some of the stuff we've been using. So this truck, so if you guys didn't know, Christian built the majority of this truck because he wants to end up building these trucks for a living. So over time, he's just been building up a big base of tools in order to do that. And so let's go through it from the start and kind of figure out what you and eventually I were using to build some of the parts for this truck. So we already got...
Yeah, this is the,
the
main one right here. So
yeah, you can get a lot done with an angle grinder.
Yeah,
no
so this
doubt.
truck, when I first started building it, we literally had zero tooling. So everything we had to buy to be able to build the truck. So at the very start, we had literally the most basic set of tools that you can use to build something like this. And this guy right here is the #1 tool that I use for pretty much everything on this truck.
As far as cutting out metal, notching tubes, just cleaning things up, like you can do a lot with an angle grinder.
Angle grinder is hands down the most used tool on a truck.
Yeah,
for sure.
And this is our second one.
No, it's like third.
Is it the third DeWalt that we've had to buy?
Yeah.
Okay, so like how many hours do you think we have on one of these things?
Oh, I have no idea. A lot.
A lot.
But
So they
these
last a
definitely, like obviously you have the cutoff wheel, you have the stone disc that you can put on it, you also have the flap disc that you can put on it. So it has a bunch of different options of things that you can use it for. But this is what I use to literally not cut tubing necessarily, because we had a chop saw, which will be another thing we'll look at. But I use this to notch basically every single tube on this truck. Any plate work was cut out with an angle grinder because we didn't have a bench or a bandsaw or anything like that.
Which even if people who've been watching the channel for a while, you've seen us cutting out stuff with these all the time until we recently got the bandsaw.
Yeah, a bunch of the first videos that we did, everything plate work wise that you guys saw was all cut out with the angle grinder. So
yeah, so this is definitely a tool you want to go pick up. What are these things, like 80 bucks? You go pick one up for?
Yeah, it's cheap. Yeah. And one thing too, like if you're looking for an angle grinder and you want to start doing all this stuff, make sure you get the one that has the switch on it. For sure. And not the one that has the paddle on it, because the paddle is a pain in the butt. This, you can literally just switch it on. You can hold this thing all the way back here while it's running and get into tight spaces, and it's just a lot better with the switch on it.
I kind of like the wired ones a little bit more than like our battery one as well.
Yeah,
like obviously if you're going to be working outside a lot, maybe the cordless one is better. But you don't ever have to worry about recharging a battery, doing anything.
With it being corded all the time, it always has way more torque than a battery powered one, or at least the Milwaukee one that we use. And we run the big batteries on all that stuff too. So this is just all around, like the corded one, I think I agree too. Like it's lighter because you don't have the big old battery hanging off the back of it. But this is definitely like the most used tool that we have in this garage.
All right, so tool one.
Yeah, tool number one right here. Tool number two.
Yeah, what do you want to go to? Chop saw?
Chop saw for sure.
All right, let's go talk about this thing. So this we got a while back, this Evolution chop saw, and we upgraded. What do we have before? It's like a Ryobi or Rigid.
It was a Rigid.
We just threw it away today.
Literally just threw it away. It was the composite blade, so basically like a flat or a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder. Same type of material for the blade, and you're replacing them all the time if you're cutting tubing and thick stuff. So. Yeah. This one has a little bit different blade on it. It has the...
Open that sucker up.
Yeah, so this has a carbide blade on it, meant for cutting metal. And this saw, we haven't replaced the blade on this yet, and we've gone through a ridiculous amount of tubing and just everything.
I like it a lot because it cuts through metal a lot quicker. It doesn't seem to get the metal as hot.
It doesn't spark either.
Yeah, that's a big one. It doesn't, and it also seems to cut a little bit straighter than the last one that we had too, because the blade doesn't walk as much.
Compared to the composite blade, it definitely cuts cleaner. This is definitely louder than the last saw we had. Anytime you're cutting with this type of saw, it's going to be loud. But this, compared to the other one, this is a little bit louder because the blade is made out of metal. But as far as just reliability and just being able to cut stuff out, this thing rips.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more accurate than an angle grinder too. and easier.
Yeah, I would never, like cutting tube out, I'd never want to use an angle.
I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it. But yeah, chop saw for any sort of tubing is going to do you solid. So you can pick up an Evolution or any other brand that you'd like. But this is the one that we've been using.
Yeah.
So with the chop saw, you need some sort of a tube bender.
You have a angle grinder, chop saw. So everything that we're talking about right this second is going to be all the stuff that you kind of need to be able to build a truck, and like the bare necessities to be able to do anything on a vehicle. So the next thing would be tubing bender right here.
So this is a what, JD model?
Yeah, this is 32? A JD model 32 tubing bender, and this is set up with the electric over hydraulic ram on it. So they have a couple different options you can get with this specific bender. You can do it as just a manual bender, so you'd have to mount this to the ground. You can see we mounted this to a stand that can roll around.
Yep.
And the only reason we can do that is because we have the hydraulic setup on it.
Yep.
If it was manual, there's no way we could have it on a stand and roll it around and still be able to crank tube. Yeah, you just be moving the bender all over. But you can get it just manual. You can get it with this electric setup, which is great because you don't have to hook it up to anything other than an outlet.
Yep.
And it rips. This thing bends tubing, no problem. And then
what do we have dies for? I think we have like 1 inch all the way up to 2 inch.
Yeah, at least, yeah. I think we might have down to 3/4, actually.
Okay.
We've accumulated all this stuff over time, but we started out with just the bender and then just a single die, just because it was more cost effective. And like going with the electric setup with this whole bender, it's not cheap as it is. So we just wanted to do it like kind of the buy once, cry once type thing, and this ended up working out great. So.
Yeah, so if you're going to be bending any sort of tubing, you obviously need some sort of a tubing bender. So this JD Model 32 has been perfect for us, and we probably won't ever need to upgrade to anything else. No. This is kind of it. Yeah. The nice thing about this too is if you're limited on space, because you can roll it around, you can just push it in the corner rather than having to have an open area with the manual one.
Yeah.
So good tubing bender, and just buy as you go with the dies. So we'll get that thing put back, and then let's move to a tubing notcher.
No, let's go welder. Because notcher you don't necessarily need.
Okay, dude, let's go to the welder then.
So
this isn't what we started out with either.
No.
This is like this is the second Miller.
Yep. So we started with the Miller 211 was the first welder that we had, and it was strictly a Mig Welder only. And that thing built the whole cab cage in this, the back of the truck, and the front of the truck. Actually, all the main tube work on this truck was all done with the 211. And then at a certain point, I wanted to start learning how to do TIG welding. And that's when I sold the other welder and then went to the 215, which is MIG and TIG. And it has stick on there as well, which I never used for anything.
Dude, big stick guy.
Small stick guy.
Oh,
whoa,
man.
Whoa.
Watch out.
You naughty.
Hey, it's cool.
Man.
But yeah, so we moved to this, and this thing works great. But as a beginner, all you really need to be able to start building a truck is a MIG welder. You don't necessarily need both if you can afford it. Same thing with the bender. If you can afford the option to have a little bit of flexibility with what you're doing, getting something that has the dual purpose in it is definitely great because you can
just one solution.
Yeah, it's all in one.
So we've gone through what we've used to cut stuff out on the truck, bend tubes, weld tubes together,
and that's pretty much it. Like if you're trying to start building a vehicle, those things those 4 things is all you really need to be able to start building anything on a truck.
The only thing else that I would add is a vise and a drill, so you're able to drill holes out in tabs or whatnot. So just like I said, you don't need a big drill press. This is the table that everything had been drilled out with on the truck. So just this old vise, and then what drill were we even using at the start? I'll show you guys what we have now. This is what we use for everything. It's just this Milwaukee cordless drill. So this thing rips. We use this with the tube notcher that we have now, and to drill out any holes if we want to do it by hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, all you need is this, some bits, and that vise, and you can drill any hole you want. You don't need the drill press.
Yeah, this thing, it's good. Any Milwaukee tool that I get, I always try and get the fuel, or I do get the fuel version of the tool. They have the standard and then the fuel. The fuel is always going to be more powerful than the other brand or the other style. So just make sure if you're getting any Milwaukee tool, it has the fuel logo on it, because it's going to be a little bit better than the standard.
An absolute ripper.
Absolute unit.
That's the certified symbol. So since we're here,
yeah, you might as well.
Is there anything else that we need to go through that's kind of like basic that you need. Obviously, you're going to have specialty tools that you need if you're doing wiring or anything like that.
Not only that, but any mechanic type stuff. So like any of your wrenches, your sockets, any of that type of stuff, like you're going to need that too, obviously. But as far as like the fabrication side of it, I think the stuff that we just covered is what you need as just a bare necessity. And then anything else that we're about to show you right now is just an add-on to make your work better or easier, just all around just good.
Yeah, so let's go. You want to go through the old toolbox real quick and just show?
Yeah, I guess. Things clapped out and so freaking gross.
Yeah. So this is what we started out with. Just basic Craftsman tools, like super organized toolboxes. But just like basic sets of hand tools. Like that's all you need. Yeah, you gotta love it. And then obviously all your 1/2-inch stuff. And then some impact sockets.
Yeah, this is literally what we use
on a lot of the truck.
Yeah, to build the majority of the truck.
And now
we have
a bigger box.
Yeah, we got the bigger box thanks to Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
That trade-in.
Oh, so obviously there's a lot going on here. Let's talk about some of the upgrades as far as sockets.
Yep.
These are impact sockets. These are Matco.
Yeah, all Matco impact sockets. Again, thanks to Cameron and Mason.
Yep. And they come with the organizers, which is really nice. Yep. So your drawers don't look like these. So even if you have sockets like this, you can get the organizers, which I would highly recommend because it makes your life a lot easier, a lot less headaches.
And at some point, like I'll go through and get the organizers to be able to organize all the stuff that I do have. But I want to be able to get into a bigger box than what I have now and just consolidate all this stuff into one box and just make it nice and clean. But I just haven't had the time or the want to do it yet. So
yeah. And the one thing I would recommend before you even do sockets, unless you need impact sockets, is getting some nice ratchets. These things, the 88 tooth Matco ones, are absolutely awesome. You get no play in there like with the old Craftsman ones.
Yeah.
So these are super nice to upgrade and easy to work with. And then the reason we got these impact sockets was for this guy right here, which is probably, out of all the Milwaukee tools we have,
that's why it's
my favorite one.
And well, we use it the most too. It's so hammered.
Yeah, so this is a 3/8 Stubby Impact, and this thing is an absolute workhorse. So it'll get off any lug nuts on your wheels or like anything. Have we ever had anything that we've not been able to get off of that?
Yeah, there's definitely been stuff. Like I've worked on like Toyotas, for example. I haven't been able to get the lug nuts off of Toyota because they went to the dealership, over tighten the crap out of them. But for the most part, like even the 5/8 studs that we have on here, we'll rip these off no problem. And we torque these to like 120 foot-pounds. So it definitely, for being a 3/8 impact, this thing is an absolute ripper.
Yeah, so what else do we got in here? We don't use this as much anymore since we got it.
Yeah, this thing, I forget what you even call this. It's like a hydraulic driver. I don't know. Okay. I hate these things so much.
This is super nice, but it's not necessary if you have that, unless you're in a really tight space and need it. But it's nice because it acts as a wrench, and then you can go to the power and just get stuff off super quick. So that thing's nice. And then this, what do you call it?
That's like the newest. No, this is a newest one. It's a 90-degree, what are they calling it? Die grinder.
Yeah.
So we have same kind of thing. We have the Milwaukee ones as well, the air ones.
Those are Matco.
Or Matco, sorry. We have the Matco ones as well, but they're all air. This being electric, we have all the batteries for all the Milwaukee stuff that we have already. So this is just another thing that's great to have, just to be able to, like, we have the barrel sander on there now. We also have.
Got some of the other just sanding.
Is that in here? Yeah, so like this right here will hold like a
just an abrasive or sanding.
Yeah, like disc. Basically like a flat disc, so you can sit there and sand stuff down real easily. This thing I've used a lot now.
With tubing mostly. It's
with
really
tubing
nice.
And with plate work too, like if you're cleaning up an edge or you need to sand something down real quick. This thing works great, and it's smaller than a normal like angle grinder, so it's easier to use. Which
obviously you don't need to have one of these. This is just an upgrade. You can still use an angle grinder for a lot of the things that you use this for.
Yep. So
that's just an upgrade we do over time. Some other things that we have. I don't even know, where'd you get this Mastercraft set from of all these drill bits? Was it?
Yeah.
Amazon special, dude.
Yeah, but it came with so many bits, like
that's how you know it's
good, you use a bit once and then you throw it away, basically, is what it is.
Yeah. So that was just our bits. We recently got these ones, which are awesome. These Matco ones.
Hyperstep bits?
Yeah, is that what you call them? Mm-hmm. Trying to open these up so you can see they have the little steps on them to make stuff super easy, and they drill through stuff.
They drill really good, yeah. Angle grinder, electric angle grinder right there. And then we also have the palm sander. So this right here, I will never be able to not have one of these again. We didn't have this for a really long time, and I would just clean up plate work with just an angle grinder with the flap disc on it, just like this, and just clean it up and go all the way across it, make it look shiny. But this leaves grooves in it. No matter how you go about doing it, this is going to leave grooves in the metal, and it's going to look horrible when you paint it.
Yeah.
So this right here, any plate work, once you have it cut out and you're ready to start tacking it together and welding it out, you hit this real quick, and this will make everything look nice and uniform and clean, which I'm sure you guys have seen in our videos. But
so in the background, I can see the other thing that we got more recently.
talking about the lathe,
The little mini lathe. This thing's a ripper right here.
yeah, it's definitely, like, I've heard a lot of mixed emotions about this thing, and a lot of people talk crap about it, which it definitely has its limitations. Like no doubt about it. Like, this thing is not the best at all. But for what we're using it for, and just being able to take like a misalignment, for example, and take it down real quick to be able to get the spread width on something correct, which is what we've been using it for a lot, or like all this stuff right here, just being able to take spacers down to be able to go in between two tabs so we can weld something out, to have a little bit more tolerance, a little bit bigger tolerance than what we need, so when we pull this out, everything fits right.
Yeah, it's a mini lathe. So
yeah,
you're not doing big
being
stuff.
able to do stuff like that is awesome. Anything else, anything bigger than like 6 inches long will not fit in this, and even the stuff that I've put even the stuff that I've put in here that is a little bit bigger than, like, let's just say this, it starts to get kind of sketchy in this thing. But
before we go any further, this is a Harbor Freight mini lathe.
Yeah,
that's the brand.
It is a Harbor Freight. So like all the gears are plastic. Like, it's going to probably break at some point. Like, I know it's gonna happen. But this thing, for what we're using it for right now, has worked awesome. And I have literally zero complaints with this thing so far.
So we'll just work our way over to here. Over to Wings Hardware, dude. What?
This 100% you don't need, but it's extremely nice to have. Ryan, the guy with the Ranger that you've seen us build on the channel, when I was working on his truck, we worked out a deal. So basically, he bought me this as part of like him paying me for the work that I did for him, which it ended up working out great because we go to this thing and use this thing all the time.
Yeah,
literally all the time.
The only bummer, like, thinking about it now, is all this stuff's coarse thread.
It's coarse thread, yeah.
Using fine thread on everything.
Yeah.
Was fine thread even an option on this?
Yeah, you can get a coarse thread one. So like if we wanted to later, or fine thread, yeah. If we wanted to add the fine thread on top of this later, we can do that.
Dude. That'd be pretty gnarly.
I don't think we will, but this is great just for mock-up stuff. Like, I use this for mock-up more than I use it for anything, because if you need a bolt, you're trying to put something together, you throw the bolt in it real quick, you use a fine thread, just standard nut, throw it all together, use it for mock-up, and then you know the length that you need once everything's built. You go get your good bolt later. So
yeah, or even and just having, like, we're going to Ace a lot and just getting small bolts
or Marshalls.
Yeah, and just getting small little stuff. So having this here is super convenient, and I'm glad we have it. It's definitely saved time and trips going to the store.
Yeah.
Shout out to my buddy John as well for making this sign. The old Wings Hardware. Thing's pretty sweet, dude. You gotta love it.
But
this guy
moving on
right
down
here.
the line, we got the Bead Roller. So this was another thing. We didn't ever need this until we needed to use it for something on the truck, and that was to do all the paneling on the back side of the truck.
Yep.
So we ended up going with the Eastwood one, which is a more affordable option because we knew we were never going to be using a bead roller all the time. But this thing works great for what we need it for and what we've used it for so far. And I mean, we're not professional bead rollers at all. Like,
What? How about that?
it definitely gets the job done. I can't remember how much this thing was, but I know it wasn't super bad.
Yeah. I think it was, for everything, it was under 1,000. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah. It might have been under 5. I don't know. I can't remember honestly.
I think it was around there.
We ended up getting the bead roller, and it doesn't come with a stand, so we ended up making a simple stand for it real quick, which literally took us like an hour just to get this thing knocked out.
Yep.
Same thing, just on casters, just so we could roll it around the garage when
you're in the garage and you're restricted on space, you got to come up with stuff like that.
Yeah. So this thing, like, if it's stored here all the time, you might have seen it in other videos. But if we do need it, we'll roll it out, bring it out to the middle of the garage, and be able to use it and get a panel around and be able to do what we need to. But yeah, another tool that we didn't necessarily need until we needed it on the truck, and then we decided we got to buy one. So.
Yeah, and the panels definitely look a lot better with rolls, and I'm just flat. So moving over, is this our second one? I think you got the first one outside right now. So just a normal belt sander. And this is nice for when you're sharpening tungsten or after cutting something out and just cleaning up the edge.
Someone's gonna say it's not good to be grinding your tungsten on something that you use for other stuff, but we got it from our grandpa, so shout out to you. Thank you.
Oh, was this his? Yeah. That is right. Yep. Dude, we made a lot of stuff on that when we were young too.
Yep.
Oh man. So this is one of the more recent, but we've had it for what, like a year or two now?
Probably longer than that.
Somewhere in that range.
Definitely longer than that, but this thing is literally my baby.
Yeah.
Like this is hands down the most expensive tool I own, but it's definitely the best tool that I bought. So this thing is, I forget what the model number is on it. Actually, you can see right there. People want to know what it is. It's an 18-inch jet bandsaw. This thing is an absolute ripper, and the only reason that
we're calling everything a ripper.
Yeah, but this thing is literally like the best. So I found this thing on Black Friday, and it was 48% off. So it was ridiculous. And I don't know why it was that cheap, why they even let that happen, but I ended up getting it for 48% off retail, and this thing works freaking awesome.
Yeah, so the old jet, we've used this on pretty much all the tabs that we've been cutting out recently, and all the little stuff that we've needed for the front of the truck.
Yeah, so it went from angle grinder with the cutoff wheel. Now we're using this with my brother being able to draw everything up in CAD. We'll take those templates, trace them out on steel, and then we cut it out on here.
This thing's been super nice. To complement it, we have the jet drill press. So this we got a long time before the bandsaw.
Yeah, and this was a used deal. Like I found this on OfferUp one day, all the way in Murrieta, and it was the right price, and I had nothing to do that afternoon, so I was like, screw it, let's just go get it. And it definitely has its flaws. I had to make a handle for it to be able to adjust the height of this thing.
I forgot about that.
And it was missing a bunch of stuff, like the cord for it was all screwed up, and just a bunch of different things, but it works. It works for what it is.
The price was right, brother.
The price was right.
And this thing's nice to use when drilling any sort of holes. We just got this thing to be able to clamp down stuff to hold it in place, rather than just using a sketchy clamp off the side.
Yeah. So
that's a nice little upgrade as well. But oh, dude, where you going, buddy? Come on, come here, come here. So, speaking of table, do you want to go check out our newer table that we didn't always have? So this, who makes this one?
Certiflat.
Okay, so this is Certiflat table. Certified flat, you know how it is. This
Not
is
anymore.
nice.
It was when we originally when I originally put it together, but it ain't anymore.
There's been a lot of stuff tacked and whatnot to this thing.
Not only that, things have been beaten to crap on this thing, and it's just you look down the side of this thing, it's not straight at all.
Yeah, we've definitely got our use out of it.
Yeah.
But this was an upgrade. We didn't start with this. This is actually the table, if you guys remember some of the first videos.
If you're a real OG to this channel, and you watched our videos from the start, you know this was the table we started everything on.
Yeah, so I've painted it since, which the paint's kind of going bad anyways, but it's all yellow and brown and black, just from welding and grinding everything on this table. So the weld Christian used to put up, it's probably over there somewhere. So some of you might remember this thing right here. This table and this thing were inseparable for the longest time.
Yeah, it lived on top of that table forever.
Reason being, Christian would ground to this and then weld all his parts on top of it.
Yeah, just set my part on top of it and then just weld whatever I needed to on top.
Budget welding table right there, but it worked.
Yeah, this thing, it's nice and shaky, and it's great. It's awesome.
You can tell we've come a long ways in our tooling for sure.
Absolutely.
But that just shows you can start off with literally a plastic table and a piece of rectangular tubing, and you're good to go. And now with some of the stuff that I've been drawing up in SolidWorks, I can make PDF drawings of the parts and just print it out, and we can trace it onto a piece of metal and cut it out. But before, when we did cardboard aided design, we were using this. It's called Ram board. You can pick it up at Home Depot. This stuff's awesome. It's not super thick like cardboard is, and it holds its shape well.
Yeah, so you can see, this is a bad example because this is old.
This is wadded.
But this had bends in it at one point. All I'd do is just hold it over the edge of the table, put a nice break in a piece, and it holds its shape. So you can see where the lines were before, but you can tell it'll hold its shape super well. It is the perfect thickness. You can use this for templates. You can use it for going. I don't know what the thickness of this is, but You could use it for a spacer when you're trying to mount something within 2 tabs.
Yeah.
If you don't have shims, you could use it for a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I've even cut little pieces out and put it in a socket if I need it to be super shallow.
You've done that?
Yeah, I've had to do that on the bug. But yeah, you can buy a whole roll of this stuff. They come in 50 and 100 foot rolls? Is that what it is?
I think there's a 20 too.
Okay, at Home Depot, and it's super cheap. Like, you'll be able to make so many tabs and everything with that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it if you're working out of the garage to go pick some of that up to start making tabs. And then some of the other things you guys see that we have, you guys probably see this in the background all the time. It's just a 20-ton hydraulic press. That's nice for any bearings or anything like that. If you're doing ball joints like we did on the bug,
Uniballs,
wadded up my finger.
Yeah, literally anything.
Yeah, so that's nice to have as well. You want to talk about pipe stands?
Yeah.
So you guys might see these on the front of the truck.
Yep. And I get a lot of people asking me questions about these. So these are straight off of Amazon. They're made by Sumner.
Yeah, part number 781300.
There you go. So I get a bunch of people asking me about these things because they see them in the videos. And these are adjustable. You can adjust them up and down, get everything level. Actually, 2 forms of adjustment. You can go this right here, which will slide it up like a lot, probably another foot to a foot and a half. And then you have your fine adjustment up here with these little levers just to be able to get whatever you're working on leveled out.
Yeah.
But these things are awesome.
That's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys got a good sense of some of the tools that you need in order to build one of these trucks. And hopefully it's not as much as you thought and you have some more confidence when it comes to building one of these trucks. We definitely don't have the biggest tool set, but it's not about size, it's about what you do with them. So we're constantly growing our tool set and it's getting better every day. But if you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.